I'm Gianna Monet, and we are here at the Global Esports Industry Week, where some of the top leaders in esports are meeting. Today we are here with Merlin, the CEO of Nodwin Gaming. Merlin, could you tell us a little bit more about how you got into esports?
Sure. Hey guys, I got into esports technically by accident. I was studying politics in Germany and I needed an internship. And there is this company that some people in the industry might know called ESL. They were based out of Cologne. I was studying in Bonn and it was close, so I decided, hey, this is a good opportunity to get some experience and try the public relations side that they had. I helped them with government outreach. And that turned from a 3-month internship into a student job into a full-time position.
Wow. Today we're here with Sean Smith, who is the CEO at Tribe. Do you mind telling me a little bit about how you got into esports?
Yeah, so I actually spent the first 7 years of my career in traditional sports. So I worked at the Orlando Magic as well as Monumental Sports in DC, so Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards. And then in 2019, I joined Activision Blizzard to help launch the Call of Duty League. And so that was esport driven, inspired by the franchise system in pro sports, wanting to start that in gaming.
Could you tell me a little bit more about Nodwin Gaming? Like, how did that come about?
Oh yeah, Nodwin Gaming is an origin Indian esports company. So we started out doing tournaments for Counter-Strike, Dota and other titles like that in the Indian market. When the company was founded, I was actually still working for ESL, and they reached out to us to acquire the license for their region, so the Indian ESL license, which we still hold today. And I was introduced to the founder, we got along quite well, and then we worked. He kept growing the Indian company, I kept working for ESL in various positions. And in 2018, we got together and decided, hey, it's time for Nodwin to take the next step, get out of India and do more international activities. And I kind of had closed the chapter at ESL. I was very satisfied with what I have built there. And yeah, felt just like the right time in 2019. Yeah, I took the plunge and joined Nodwin and have been building the international side of our company since.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about Tribe Gaming and how it came about?
Yeah, so Tribe was actually founded by Chief Pat. You can find him on YouTube back in 2017. And Tribe is the largest mobile gaming organization in the world. So we have over 20 creators that create mobile gaming focused content. Averaging in 2024, we had 1.7 billion views on YouTube to be the largest viewed gaming org on YouTube. And on the esports side of things, we've got 4 world championships. We do compete. This year for 2025, we are in Clash of Clans and Brawl Stars.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Sure.
yeah. And then what is the single most significant cultural or infrastructural difference you have to account for when producing a large-scale esports event in India compared to Europe or North America?
Oh yeah, I mean, the main difference, it's mobile first. So India skipped the PC and console competition that Europe was very much a PC-heavy esports, not country, like continent. North America had also a big console player base, but India went straight into mobile, right? PC gaming and console to a lesser extent exists, but it's compared to the massive amount of mobile players, it's really a small fraction. So it gives us the opportunity to engage with the audience on a completely different level, right? Because the beauty of mobile gaming is, it's kind of a cliche, but everybody has a phone, and most of those phones can play some games. So you have an entertainment device you can watch on your phone, you can play on your phone, you can communicate on your phone. You a one-stop shop. And what really helped in India was 5G and 4G availability that basically communified data, and everybody had unlimited fast data, and then gaming really took off.
Oh yeah, and I think that's really important too, is because mobile gaming is a little bit not underrated, but a lot of people don't talk about it a lot or like aim for it as much, and I feel like a lot more people now are focusing on that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the focus on mobile gaming it depends on the markets, right? I mean, Europe having a fairly established, or I mean, in terms of esports term, a long history. I mean, esports is still a very young field. I mean, I've been in the space for close to 20 years now, but there's been people who have been a bit longer, but 25, 30, well, let's say 30 years, esports wasn't really a thing, right? It's a very young entertainment product. So, and that's if you look at it in this scope, like Europe had this, and North America to a little later, but to some extent they had established when mobile gaming only really was possible when smartphones arose, right? And PC gaming therefore was established, but India didn't have those backgrounds, so they decided at that time when gaming really came up, like what's the easiest to reach our audience, and mobile gaming was just that.
Gaming. Yeah. As the founder of a mobile-first powerhouse, what would you say is the biggest misconception that PC and console-focused organizations have about the mobile esports ecosystem?
Yeah, back when I was at Activision Blizzard, there was a company-wide town hall, and at the town hall, Activision Blizzard leadership said over 50% of the entire company's player base and over 50% of the entire company's revenues came from mobile gaming. Mobile gaming is an industry that is sometimes slept on because, yes, PC, console, it's got a higher price point to buy. People that are gaming in it are more passionate about it. But the reality is there are more mobile gamers on the planet than any other platform. Right. And so a lot of times organizations that focus on PC and console are naturally neglecting a large segment of the worldwide community.
Oh yeah, because it's just a lot more people have access to their phones.
Exactly.
And I know me, I have a lot of games on my phone, so I have a habit of seeing an ad and immediately downloading. So I can see like the benefits of it too.
Oh,
yeah,
that is the story of our lives, and in some ways, what keeps our lights on.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's probably me. I myself like mobile gaming, so
it's great fun.
Yeah, it is.
It's a shorter, quicker turnaround time. You don't have to spend hours sometimes as you have with PC games, right? You can play on the go. If you're sitting in a subway, in a taxi, at a doctor's appointment, you can just pull up the device, either play yourself or watch your favorite content creator or player play their matches on their live streaming platform of choice.
And then as international investors and game publishers look to enter the Indian market, what is the most common misconception they have, and what is your advice to them for building a sustainable presence?
I actually don't know what the most common misconception is. I think the value is sometimes overlooked, right? For Western companies to enter the market, it's happening more now, but it really should have happened like 5 years ago already, right? It's such a young, vibrant nation, very tech savvy. Obviously, it goes without saying, a lot of people there, right? I mean, it's the most populated country in the world now, having overtaken China, I think last year. So it is really the future if you want to build a big game and have a very dedicated player base. This is the place to be. India also started now developing their own titles, so it's also competition for established publishers, if you're being honest here. But the market is massive. Income obviously is not as high on an average as it is in, for example, in Europe or North America, but the sheer amount of people that are willing to spend if you provide them with a valuable product, right? You cannot BS the consumer, right? You really need to give them value, but then they will be loyal to you, and sometimes you have a customer for a decade.
So the lifespan and competitive balance of mobile games can be volatile due to frequent updates. How do you build a sustainable business strategy around the titles that can change dramatically from one season to the next?
Yeah, for us, our entire philosophy around esports, but even in general on how we operate as a company, is we work in partnership with the publishers. So we a lot of times are working hand in hand on what their go-to-market, their influencer strategy is, how they're kind of working. So from our standpoint, our esport is an extension of that partnership. We know what's coming down the line. We're able to kind of build and adapt. And for us, the games that we put value in are the ones that we see that partnership.
What is it that you hope to see in the future with esports and just the direction that it's going in?
I think this is maybe a little shaded from my view, but I would really like to see more mobile competitions. Like we had in Austin at the Blast Major, right? So here we have a Counter-Strike filling a full arena, people being super excited. I've been back at my time at ESL. We also did similar events with 10,000 plus audiences in stadiums, right? I really want to see those type of events for mobile esports in the West, because I the opportunities are there, the audience is there. It's just hasn't been done before. It's in Asia, it's already happening. It just needs to move over here, and sponsors and partners need to realize the potential of mobile games.
Yeah, I think there's been a really interesting, inflection point that's happening. So I think during COVID, gaming was spiking at all-time highs, right? People were at home, you had a piece to go. And what's interesting is obviously with mobile, you do have the ability of, it still is allowed to kind of follow through, like your ability to still play on the go, play a piece. But the biggest thing right now for mobile publishers and game development is about player retention. When you have so many options out there, like you said, you get a new game, you want to download it, all the rest of it, how does that publisher keep you playing that same game over and over again?
Right.
And so I think as the industry will continue to mature and grow, is you're going to start to see more and more consolidation. And you're going to start to see, whether it's larger publishers acquiring smaller publishers, or you're going to start to see efforts to try to keep players in a certain ecosystem rather than continuously churning out new games.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I guess the big thing that most people don't realize is a lot of times, now the mobile industry, mobile gaming is a little bit cheaper, but when you're talking about big AAA title games, those are movie budgets. Those are really expensive endeavors. And so if your game isn't a hit or if it's not successful, it can obviously have a big impact on the company. And so like that's where I think there's going to be a lot of a push on retention and how to continue to monetize and grow existing player bases.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you brought up, like, after COVID, we all had like these certain games that we'd play. Like, I know, for example, like Among Us was a really big one, and ever since then, like, you see like games following the same formula per se. And for a while it was like that, and I feel like now we're getting to a point where people are starting to like consolidate. They know what the audience wants. And so I definitely, like, I could see exactly like the timeline of it all.
And I mean, it's also, we're at a very interesting time in gaming where I think, GTA 6 has a lot of anticipation.
Oh, yeah.
But in general, I think that in many ways the community is sort of looking for like, what are the titles that I want to play or go through? Whereas I felt like, to your point, during COVID, there were certain titles that it felt like everyone was playing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just, whether it was Call of Duty Warzone, Among Us, Fall Guys, those different games, everyone was just feeling they were rallying around.
I'll just say, I think that it's very important, having a game and like getting a community-based like aspect of it, because that's the whole point of esports, is like
it's community
people together. Yeah. And then, is there anything that you would like to add on? Anything you want to say about the company Nodwin?
Sure. I mean, our approach at Nodwin is we still have esports as part of our core DNA, but we also, in recent years, expanded a little bit more into wider youth culture. So we do a lot of general gaming content, but we also do music festivals. We do conventions like Comic-Con or DreamHack. So we really try to go to where our youth audience is and try to touch them as many points as possible. So if they play games for 2 hours, we want to be there to facilitate that. But if they want to go to the convention and meet their friends there on the weekend, we also want to provide that for them. So we really expanded from like esports, which is still close to my heart, right? I mean, it's what I've been doing for almost 20 years, to a little wider field, which also helps us in like times when it's esports as a core business can be challenging, right? There's esports, people will tell you if they have been around for like a minute that it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's going really great, sometimes it's a little bit more challenging, but that's just the nature of it. But generally speaking, we have been, I mean, if I look at it from a little bit more stepping back and from a distance, it's been on an upward trajectory. I mean, if you look at what's happening in other regions like Middle East now, right, with Saudi, it's good fun, and Nodwin is having a small role there, and our role, I guess, which differentiates us from our peers, is that we go wider instead of trying to be on the very top. We still put out a really good product, but we also blend it with other aspects of interest that our fans have.
Oh yeah, and I think that I really like that you pointed out the youth. I feel like one thing about the youth is that they're truthful and they're gonna let you know what they want to see
you get
and what they want.
feedback.
Oh yeah, and so I think it's really cool that you talked about like educating them and also bringing them into this environment, because as you know, we all have grown up on electronics, at least the younger generation. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, I know. I like, again, dating myself here, but I still remember a time where like there wasn't instant connection, and I played outside, and then like I'm probably the last generation that had like friends who only played sports and had nothing to do with computers. And nowadays, like it's good for me and my business, obviously, that everybody has a relationship to gaming. Mostly because smartphones are gaming devices, right? So sure, not everybody is as hardcore as I was basically back in the day, or as some people are today, but there's nuances to it, but everybody is a gamer. Everybody understands the basic premise of gaming, the value it holds, and the entertainment that's there. So that makes my life a lot easier most days.
Of course. Do you mind telling me what is the game that impacted you the most, or like something that got you into gaming?
Interesting. So for me, I was actually born in Singapore, and so the game that really hooked me into gaming was Counter-Strike. But this was back when it was a Half-Life mod. So it was back when it was like CS 1.6, etc. I used to save my lunch money. It was $1 an hour at the LAN cafes in Singapore. So I'd save $2 every day, get off the bus. Me and my friends would play at the LAN cafe for 2 hours. Probably not appropriate to say because I was very much underage for a mature game like Counter-Strike. But definitely like that was where I just fell in love with gaming, and gaming has always been in the back of my mind. And even when I worked in sports or when I was going through college, what I would do in my free time was game. And so it's been great to come full circle that now I work in that industry.
The most impactful game for me was probably, well, actually two, I think. It was Command and Conquer, which was by later by EA, but sadly the IP has kind of died off, and then an IP that's still around, it was Warcraft 3, that's from Blizzard, and that's really the game that got me into esports. Like Command and Conquer got me into gaming, but Warcraft 2 to a small extent, but really Warcraft 3 like got my excitement for esports going. I was playing with friends back doing like school days, and to a lesser extent doing uni still. So that really showed me that there is something to this.
Well, those were all my questions. Thank you so much for interviewing with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.